I'm Sarah Ulmer with Y'all Politics, and we are thrilled to be one of the sponsors of the 2020 Mississippi Top 50. This event has become synonymous with celebrating some of Mississippi's most influential people over the years. And of course, the highlight of our event is always our Hall of Fame program. However, none of this would be possible without the support of our sponsors: Atmos Energy, Capital Resources, Mississippi Farm Bureau, the Payne Group, Taller Loan Company, and Y'all Politics. While we can't be together in Jackson, we do hope that you'll enjoy our presentation. Mississippi has often benefited from its U.S. senators having outsized influence in the halls of Congress. But only one senator from the Magnolia State has ever held the title of Senate Majority Leader. The Mississippi Top 50 is proud to name Trent Lott to our 2020 Hall of Fame. Trent Lott was born in Grenada on October 1941. His father was a sharecropper and his mother was a school teacher. The Lott family would move to Pascagoula when Trent was in the 6th grade so that his father could go work at the shipyard. The future senator would go on to attend the University of Mississippi, where he was active in campus life, even cheering on the rebels as a cheerleader.
Well, I lived sort of a typical Mississippi life in the 40s and 50s and 60s. I was born in the Grenada Hospital, but my parents lived out in rural Carroll County, where my mother taught school in a 3-room schoolhouse. My dad drove a school bus, and he raised cotton on somebody else's property, which means he was a sharecropper. And then they moved down to Pascagoula during the war. My dad worked in a shipyard. He was a guard and a pipe fitter. We moved back to North Mississippi. I actually went to second, third, and fourth grade at Duck Hill. And my 3 favorite teachers of my entire life were those 3 teachers at Duck Hill. So I went to school in Grenada and Duck Hill, and then back to Pascagoula. My dad worked in the shipyard. I finished Pascagoula High School, went to Ole Miss, knew I wanted to be a lawyer. Wound up being the head cheerleader at Ole Miss. I don't know how that happened, because I could barely even lift my partner up off the ground. In those days, we weren't acrobats.
After he earned his law degree from Ole Miss, he went to work for Congressman William Colmer in 1968. 4 years later, Lott would succeed Colmer, winning the South Mississippi congressional seat as only the 3rd Republican to be elected to Congress in Mississippi since Reconstruction.
I ran as a Republican, which was kind of unheard of in those days, way back in 1972. But I always drew pretty good crowds in places like Lucedale and Poplarville, because I was the first live Republican they'd ever seen. And long story short, the people gave me a chance. I got elected to Congress when I was 32.
Lott's strong election win in 1972 earned him a spot on the House Judiciary Committee as a freshman, where he considered the impeachment of former President Richard Nixon before Nixon ultimately resigned. Trent would serve 8 terms in Congress, winning re-election easily each time. After serving as Ronald Reagan's state chairman during the 1980 presidential campaign, Lott became the 2nd highest ranking Republican in Congress as the House Majority Whip. He was the first Southern Republican to hold the title.
Then I got elected to the Senate in 1988 to succeed the Venerable John Stennis, who was a great American, and served 16 years in the House, 19 years in the Senate, served as whip in the House, whip in the Senate, and majority leader. I've lived the American dream.
In 1988, Lott ran for the U.S. Senate and won. Succeeding retiring Senator John C. Stennis, he would win 3 more terms with very little opposition each time. Lott became the Senate Majority Whip in 1995, and then in 1996, he was named Senate Majority Leader, replacing Bob Dole, who resigned to run for president. Lott won the post over his fellow Mississippian, Senator Thad Cochran. The Mississippi senator would once again be faced with an impeachment trial, this time at the helm of the Republican majority in the U.S. Senate, to consider the case against former President Bill Clinton.
Well, I did serve as whip twice, once as minority whip, once as the majority whip in the Senate, and I served for 6.5 years as the majority leader. A good portion of those, beginning 1996, was when Bill Clinton was president. And then I stayed on to when George W. Bush came in as president and worked with him too. Actually, I had a great working relationship with both of them, especially slick. That's what I call President Clinton. But one time I was on Meet the Press, and Clinton had done something I didn't like, and so I called him a spoiled brat. So the next morning I called and said, "Oh, Mr. President, I'm sorry about that. I shouldn't have done it." He said, "Hey, don't worry about it, no problem." But the highlight of my time in the Senate and in the Congress and of my political life was the day that I made the deal working with Newt Gingrich and Bill Clinton. It came to an agreement on a balanced budget. We had reformed welfare, we had cut taxes, and we balanced the federal budget. This is in 1998, I guess. Not only did we have a balanced budget for 4 years, we had surpluses for 2 years. That was the thing that motivated me from the beginning. I always felt like it was a mistake for the country, any more than an individual, should not live within their means. And I was worried that at some point, if we kept spending more money than we were taking in and running up the deficit and the debt annually, that the chickens would come home to roost someday, and then my kids or grandkids would have to deal with it. So that's what I went there to do.
Lott would lead the Senate as Majority Leader until 2001, when Republicans lost the majority, making him the Minority Leader. He stepped down from Senate leadership in December 2002, but would return as the Senator Minority Whip in January 2007. Lott retired from public service in December of 2007.
I left the leadership in 2002, but I didn't leave. I took over as chairman of the Rules Committee in the Senate, and I just went back to work. 4 years later, 2006, I got reelected by the people of Mississippi, and then I decided there was a vacancy, so I decided I'd run for whip again. In this case, I would be the minority whip. And Mitch McConnell from Kentucky had been elected leader, so I was the whip in 2006 and 7 until the beginning of 2008. I was shocked at how much harder it had gotten to get things done in that 4-year period from 2002 to 2006. All of a sudden, it was harder to move the legislation, and the spirit was meaner. It got to where my colleagues, we didn't want to just defeat somebody on a vote, we wanted to destroy them. And that's why I decided, I've been in Congress 35 years, and I've been a staff member 4 years before that, 39 years. It's a pretty good while to spend in one building in the Capitol.
During his 35 years of service, Trent Lott was at the center of history. Impeachments, Middle East conflicts, wars, terrorism, 9/11, natural disasters, Hurricane Katrina, divisive elections, economic booms, and Wall Street busts.
So, once again, I just think that, God, that was God's plan for me. It was the right thing to do. I don't have any regrets. In fact, one time I talked to Chip Pickering, the congressman, and he was thinking about retiring, and he said, after, some of the things you've been through, my dad had been through, would you do it again? And I said, if I had a chance to do it again and make the same dumb mistakes over again, I'd do it all over.
Through it all, Trent Lott fought for Mississippi and America. He was a strong advocate for national defense and shipbuilding. He advocated for legislation that would help Mississippi businesses and shore up the state's workforce. He championed economic development projects throughout Mississippi and worked to advance education and health care. Lott knew the rules. He knew how to negotiate deals and was considered by his colleagues as the smartest legislator in the room. Few Mississippians have impacted the state as much as Trent Lott, and that is why we are proud to name him to the 2020 Mississippi Top 50 Hall of Fame.